That part is the mute part. God, does the shirt fit one? Nice man. Just shut them off.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'm calling to order the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Platteville on Tuesday, June 24th, 2014, and we'll start with roll call.
Ken Killian,
Here.
Eileen Nichols,
Here.
Amy Seaboth. Here. Mike Den.
Here.
Barbara Doss.
Here.
Barb Stockhausen.
Here.
And Dick Bonin.
Here.
Before we start with our first agenda item, which is an update on the tornado recovery effort, I would like to say to the people in Platteville who were injured in the tornado, I'm speaking on behalf of the Common Council, our condolences, our sympathies, and we hope that you all have a speedy recovery. To those who lost their homes or lost their possessions, the businesses as well as the residences, we certainly are thinking of you on a daily basis, and if there's anything the city can do to assist you, please call City Hall. We are still involved in assisting the individuals who were affected. There are many, many people to thank. Rather than go through a long list, I think this evening what I will do is recognize our city staff, because we had an amazing response from our city staff, from the different departments, from all of the employees, many of whom were behind the scenes and you wouldn't know that they were being involved. But for those city staff who are here this evening, and I saw some of you at 2 o'clock that morning, if you would like to stand up, all of you please, and I think you deserve a round of applause. And please pass that on to your employees. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. We're going to start with the city manager giving an update on the tornado recovery effort.
I couldn't agree more. There has been a significant outpouring of support, both from employees as well as all of the volunteers and responders. All of the people who helped contribute to repairing our community have also been and deserve recognition. Today I have a last couple updates as a result of our recovery efforts from the tornado. Basically, our immediate concerns have all been addressed. Everyone is now safe, properties have been secured, and we're well into the recovery phase from the tornado. Grant County Emergency Management is now handling casework. Starting tomorrow, they will have a caseworker in Platteville for the next month, working to help families and individuals affected by the tornadoes on an individual basis. So that person will be available if anyone wants to call Grant County Emergency Management at 608-723-7171. And that assistance ranges from financial to counseling to helping to find a place to live. A lot of people have lost everything, and this caseworker will help them recover and get what they need to survive. The City of Platteville is applying for state emergency relief funding to help cover approximately 70% of the costs from the tornado to the city. For reimbursement of the added man hours, the need for disposal, everything from the volunteer hours to even now we're still having expenses. Today I found out the airport had air damage, wind damage at the airport. So there's still issues coming up, and we do have a month to make that application. So we are collecting all of the information we can. I do want to point out that we have received a lot of help and a lot of support from the state DNR. They're in town helping quite a bit. Faraday's garbage disposal has been helping an awful lot, but there's still a lot of work to do. I do want to note that the EMS department, who was going to be here to speak this evening, could not attend, And on their behalf, I want to mention that in total, we had approximately 20 calls for EMS service, some directly related to the storm and others indirectly. But there were about 20 EMS calls. And assisting the city of Platteville in the EMS calls were EMS services from Lancaster, Cuba City, Hazel Green, Potosi, Dickeyville, Jamestown first responders, and Livingston first responders. So you can see it cast a pretty broad net in the region of volunteers coming to our aid. In addition to the EMS, I've asked, I guess we've got Ryan Simmons, the fire chief, who's going to come up and say a few words. I've asked Howard Crowfoot, the director of public works, to say a few words on the recovery. I know Kathy Kopp may be coming up to say a few words. Christina Curris may come up and say a few words on behalf of the university. When the police chief gets here, we'll ask him to come up and say a couple words as well. Fortunately, he is being pulled away right now for another issue. So with that being said, Ryan, would you kick us off and join me up at the mic?
Good evening. I guess the update as far as that I would have is, it was just remarkable on the response to the community, the way the community came together, the response that we had from the surrounding communities to the city of Platteville. When we made the request for additional help from our neighbors around us, to pretty much sum it up, I would say probably every department in the county sent something to help the city of Platteville. And that's just remarkable that, within an hour's time, this town was full of emergency personnel, willing and eager to help the citizens of our community, and I think that's something that is hard to thank everybody, but I think they just know that on the other side, if something bad happened to them, that we'd be there to help them as well. And that's just a part of what makes it great to live in the communities that we do. We've pretty well recovered and are back to normal operation state as far as the fire department goes. It's been a busy week with calls in general too, but everybody's kind of got their sleep back and kind of got back on their feet, and there's been a little bit of normality restored, which I think helps everybody. So again, just want to thank everybody from the community that stopped by and supported us. Like say the name, everybody that walked in, and the people that just walked in and handed food and stuff at the fire station and wouldn't even give us their name, just, you guys are busy, here's some stuff, and walked out the door. I don't think we'd have time to thank everybody, so. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Howard? Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again. I'd like to echo what everybody else has said here. I just don't think that we could have done it without the support of our crews and the support of the volunteers and other people from surrounding communities who've come here to help us. The debris is out of the road. The cleanup is continuing. For the emergency services folks, fortunately, their work ends rather quickly. On my end, my work will probably take all summer long. And for those businesses and individuals who are impacted, they'll probably be recovering for even longer after that. Our cleanup is continuing. I want to thank the volunteers also. DNR has come in and helped us with chainsaws and other tree removal personnel and things like that. And we've worked together with the university to use that resource available to us. Brush pickup is ongoing throughout the rest of the city this week. That's one of the things that we're trying to do to get back to our normal. We know that people outside the affected area still had tree limbs and branches come down, so we're working to go around the city to do that. We're working with our suppliers to try to get the signals working. I'm hoping sometime next week down there at Water and Business 151. I don't have a timeline yet on that, but I'm hopeful it'll be sometime next week. But thanks again, and thank you for your support.
You had to order new lights for down there for that one?
Oh, yes. Yes, we're ordering new lights. Actually, the cabinet that has the controllers had some damage to it as well. The box that has the computer controllers, that lifted off of the pad that it was in and got some water damage on the inside. So we're basically getting a whole new control box with controllers, as well as the external lights that people see that were damaged.
It's interesting to see, say, down at the Dunkin' Donuts, or listen to, the horns blowing. People forget how they gotta do it, they lose track.
Yes, that is one thing that I also want to thank people. After a day or so, people have learned that if they don't need to go through the intersection, they go around. There's been a lot less traffic in that intersection the past few days, and the ones that are going through are being very patient. They're taking their time and one right after another, and I applaud the citizens of Platteville for their common sense and courtesy with everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
Kathy? Yep. I'd like to ask Kathy Kopp to come up on behalf of Building Platteville.
Thank you. Actually, I want to keep my chamber hat on here for just a second, and I'll take it off. But I do want to second everything that we've heard. The community response to what happened 1 week ago has been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm very happy to say that as the chamber, we offered whatever we could do, and that very first day we became a cooling center. We fortunately had air conditioning, so we had food and coffee and water for the volunteers that worked one short block away. We also compiled a list of businesses and individuals that called and offered equipment, services, anything that's needed by those businesses or individuals that were impacted. We do have it available. If anybody needs anything, please call us and we'll get you that list. And lastly, I did reach out to the Department of Tourism to reassure them that Platteville is open as of today. It's my understanding that we may have one business that's offline, but everybody else is up and running in one manner or another, and in one short week, that's pretty phenomenal. Now, with my building hat, Platteville hat, I am the president of Building Platteville, and Building Platteville is working with the city and with the chamber to organize the Platteville Tornado Relief Fund. And I'm very happy to report that we have pulled a steering committee together of 15 individuals. We had our first meeting last night. There is a fund set up at Mound City Bank. We also have donation canisters at all of the financial institutions in Platteville. And you can also mail donations to that fund right to Building Platteville at P.O. Box 119. And just another note that Steve Braun with Grant County Emergency Management has absolutely been phenomenal. Everywhere I go, I see him. And I just wanted to do a specific shout out to him for doing a phenomenal job. He did reassure us, as was mentioned earlier, we will have a caseworker in the community. We will be working with that caseworker through the Tornado Fund Relief Fund, who is going to take on that responsibility of doing the face-to-face with the citizens that have, and businesses that have been challenged with the events. And then the steering committee is putting together a community group that will be anonymously evaluating all of the applications that come in for assistance. And I am told, although I did not hear a number, I probably had at least 10 emails today from people saying, and organizations saying that they're sending money. And the last thing that I want to note is that every year during Hometown Festival Week, the Chamber hosts the Party in the Park. And this year that event is Thursday, July 24th. I want everybody to put that on their calendar. The theme we use every year is Salute to Volunteers. This year, it is a community salute and thank you to all of the volunteers that helped with the tornado. And I know that when Ryan mentioned it's almost impossible to know who all these individuals are, we are asking for those individuals to please call the chamber. We really want to have a list that we can present at Party in the Park that identifies those individuals. And Larry, I would like, if possible, for you to get the departments with that information so that we can have as a full accounting as possible, because it is very, very phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Christina Chris from UW Platteville, could you, thank you.
So I'm Christina Kurz from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. I wear a few different hats there, but I'm here tonight because during this I served as liaison between the city and the university, sitting in meetings on both halves and making sure the other group knew what they needed to know about what was going on with the other group. And so first I want to thank you all for all the agencies for the support that was provided, and we're so grateful for our staff and students who ensured the safety of everyone on campus, all the kids who were there in camps, and ensure that everyone got moved out of the damaged residence halls. When you look at it, it's just amazing that there were no serious injuries on campus and we came through the way we did. When serving as liaison, it was also very nice to know that I knew the city would be there for backup if we needed it. I think both groups tried to not ask too much for help because the city knew what we had going on and we knew what the city had going on, but we knew if we asked for help, we would get it. Instead, we were offered and accepted a lot of help from UW-Madison, Southwest Tech, NICC, all the colleges and universities in the area have reached out and have been offering us lots of support, which has been great as well. We are also in the rebuilding phase. Our buildings have been determined to be repairable, so we are already working very hard on repairing all the buildings, including the football stadium. It is repairable, and there will be a very large crane in town soon to work on that. So the work is well underway. We will be ready for the fall. We have planning groups working on every contingency if this building isn't quite ready, or if this wing can't open, or this floor can't open, but we're hopeful everything will be ready, but we will have a plan in place for every single combination if something isn't. And I will continue to serve as liaison between that planning group and the city, letting you know if there's things that city needs to be aware of, or just keeping you updated on that. So final thing with that, we are releasing updates daily at the university, and so you can go to our webpage, uwplatt.edu, to see the little more detailed updates on what we have going on and what our progress is.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Last but not least, the police chief, Doug McKinley.
Good evening. At the expense of repeating some of the thanks that has also already been offered, I'd like to very much echo the thanks to Steve Braun at Grant County Emergency Management. He really coordinated the efforts and shepherded us through this, and it was really neat to see how, when the chips are down, people came together. Another thing that was very rewarding out of this was to see that our disaster preparedness came into play. We'd just done tabletops, ironically, and probably jinxed ourselves with a tornado that struck part of the area and part of campus and into the city. The track was a little different, but it was a good dry run for this. I was very impressed with the residents, the volunteers, the fire department, EMS. I mean, again, people really came together and made the coordinated response happen. Beyond that, I was also pleased to see how people felt that Nixle was a valuable resource, and would encourage people to sign up for that so that we can make further use of that, hopefully for more mundane tasks. But again, it was a bad time in the history of the city, but I think we'll come through this and be a better community for it. So, very good.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask the city council if they have any questions for myself or any of the presenters this evening.
I have one,
Yes.
just worth mentioning. I've heard a couple people asking me why the warning didn't go off.
Okay, that's a
And
great question.
It's a good question. I'm assuming there's a really good reason behind it, and we should talk about it. How does the warning process work?
Tornado sirens will go off when there is a tornado warning. In this case, there was a tornado watch, which means that a tornado had not been spotted. So the tornado sirens do not go off under a tornado watch environment. It's only when there's a tornado warning.
And that's issued by?
I believe it's issued by,
The
right?
National Weather
Service.
Thank you, the National Weather Service.
In addition to that, the spotters were out.
And nobody saw anything.
No one, it's one of those things where the tornado had its genesis on the west end of town. And despite all the precautions and the technology, we were unable to provide any warning.
Yeah, as I understand it, the tornado spotters were the fire departments and others, and you guys were out for at least 2 hours before the event. Is that true?
Maybe not quite 2 hours, but we definitely were out before it ever got here. You know,
Yeah.
it went through, that same storm went through all the communities to the west of us. We were on the phone with the National Weather Service. They had no concerns from the storm coming through. It's just
When you're sitting right under where
the
it
nature
starts.
of the beast of a tornado. You know, that's what makes them so difficult, is they're so hard to predict and to see, and then they can spur up at any moment. And
That makes it all the more amazing to me that people got in the basement quickly. That was very smart of people. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I just want to make a comment as more of a thank you than anything to all of their services, especially on my behalf and the behalf of my wife's family, because that was my mother-in-law's house that was destroyed, and that was the one that Carrie Gates was residing in. And so, thanks again to everybody for the response.
Any other comments? I would like also to note that we did have our legislators and the governor also present in the city, and we certainly appreciate their support as well. We are going to reverse B and C. Johnson Block and Company will go after Mr. Bob Brown, who is going to give us an overview of fiber to the premises in Platteville.
Actually, you can, well, if
you
you're.
can do it from up
If
here,
you can
that'd
do
be
it from up
best.
here, that's great. Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. I won't take up too much of your time this evening. There are 4 of us from CenturyLink here today. Joe Connery, Mary Gottstein, Wally Perdon, and myself. My name is Bob Brown. I'm the general manager for CenturyLink. I live in La Crosse. And we're going to show you something tonight. You're the first to see this. Earlier, I think it was last week, we did have a news release regarding some advancements that we're making to our products and services here in Platteville. So I wanted to take a chance to come down and at least tell the city council about it first. You're the first to see this. We're passing out some hard copies of this presentation so you can take a glance at it and feel free to ask questions at the end. But thanks a lot for letting me take a few minutes and describe this to you. I hope you're all having a better week this week than last week. It's certainly sad to hear you made statewide news, that's for sure. I'm going to start out with the first comment here on we're going to offer a product here in Platteville called Prism TV. It's latest state-of-the-art TV services. And just on page 2, just a real quick description of what it is and is not. It's not a YouTube service or video streaming over the internet or watching TV on your personal computer or best effort video, which is, you get it if you can. This is actually a IP protocol TV, latest state-of-the-art high definition TV with many multiple channel options that you don't have today, mostly in high def, with the latest high quality equipment using to deliver the product. That'll be mostly a residential offer. It'll be delivered to the homes. For the most part in Platteville, it will be fiber to the prem, so the latest best quality service you can get today from any type of venue, whether it be wireless or copper, is truly fiber. And to have that run right to your home will allow you to have not only the service here that I'm describing, but also extremely high internet speeds. We're still working through the details of that, but our engineers tell us that it'll be very comfortable, be able to provide 100 meg of service to a home, which is obviously many, many times faster than you have now. The same will apply to business, although our Prism product initially will be only offered to residential, but the internet speeds that I'm describing will be deliverable and sellable to business as well as residential. So a huge improvement for the businesses as well as the university students who are into gaming and all sorts of things, where they definitely want high-speed internet for both uploading and downloading services. So real exciting offer there. If you go to the next page there, one of the key things, you can't see it too well on this, but CenturyLink has deployed this product in many cities, most of them, all of them, very, very large cities, places like Phoenix and Tallahassee and Fort Myers, Florida, and some of the others that you see there, Las Vegas, Nevada. The reason I'm excited about this is we are the first city in CenturyLink's footprint where we're offering it to a community this size. It's a very expensive product to deploy, takes a lot of customer base to pay for it and make money at it. This is an area where we want to really try this product in a smaller environment, smaller community, and we have about 3,000 or more communities just in this region that are of this size or smaller. And so when we proposed Platteville, we weren't sure if it was gonna be the city selected or not, but lo and behold, after about a year of deliberation and talking about Platteville and the university and what goes on here in the business community and our relationship, frankly, in the city over the years, Platteville was decided that would be our first attempt at moving this product into this market size. So pretty excited about that and really encouraged by that. Just to give you a flavor for what the price points will be on the Prism and some of the offerings, this varies a little based on whether you have high-speed internet with us and local telephone service, then the prices actually drop. But if you were just going to buy the TV service from us, this gives you some sort of idea what those prices would be. 150 channels, mostly high def, for $40 a month. 210 channels, mostly high def, for $53.99, and you can see the rest of them there. Your local channels that you enjoy today will be the same as they are today, and they'll be obviously high def. Many of them obviously are now, but they'll be high def as well. But again, the more you bundle, and you've heard that word, I'm sure before, the cheaper these prices will be. Pretty good internet package, phone service if you choose, and the low to medium price Prism package here for a 2-year contract would be around $100 to $110. So pretty decent pricing there. Some of the overviews, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but to give you just an idea of what this product really offers as far as features, has a wireless set-top box. What that means is that you can move a TV out to the deck. You have a college kid who comes home for the summer and you need to have a TV in the basement. You don't have to rewire anything. You simply move the TV downstairs. It syncs up with that wireless set-top box, and you've got service. So really a good feature. We offer this in La Crosse right now, and people really love it. Couldn't quite figure out why people really liked it, but it turned out to be those two things: summer in Wisconsin and kids coming home from college. So really good product there. Whole home TVR. A lot of if you're with Dish or DirecTV right now, you have to have multiple DVRs to record TV programs. With this product, you only need one DVR. It'll record up to 4 shows at a time. If you like to record the Packers and God forbid the Bears, and you can do those 2 shows at the same time and 2 other shows as well off of one DVR box, not multiple. Yes, sir.
What about taking that DVR? Would you be able to take that and put it in your camper and still watch that TV someplace else, or you got to be by this?
You got to be by this. Yep. But there's an app coming for that. That's been a very big request from people. So it's not here yet, but our technology people are working on that. Prism on the Go, that's basically where you can watch wherever you want, and you can even set your DVR recordings remotely, whether it be on your iPhone or iPad and things like that. So some of that type of thing. The App Center, for those of you who really like the high-end TVs and have things like Facebook and all that right on your TV, this will allow you to interface with that without going through a laptop. You'll be able to look at that right on your widescreen TV. All sorts of other features here. I won't really bore you with this, but a lot of different options here. On the next page, it describes whole home DVR. You can do a lot of the recordings here. It's got 230 hours of recording, so real robust there. You can just glance at that. It's more detail. I already mentioned the wireless set-top box, which is next, and what it can do here. Interesting, you'll see that that's the Duck Dynasty people who are from the same town as our headquarters, Monroe, Louisiana. Interesting piece there. And then Prism on the Go, you can access, as I mentioned earlier, the TV from different devices like your iPhone and iPad. And then moving on to the next one, you have a lot of navigation and controls that you don't have. A lot of people really like our we call it our TV guide, and it backcasts on the channel that you're watching. So if you're watching the Packers and you want to see what's on tonight afterwards, your TV guide comes up, and in the background you get to still see the Packer game, but the guide is in front so you can see that. So kind of a unique feature that people really seem to like. It's got one thing that people really like is our channel change speed is the fastest in the industry, faster than Direct or Dish, Uverse, or all the rest of them. The channel changing between channels is extremely fast, something that customers in places like La Crosse and big cities really like, and it'll be a great thing for this market here too, and people just love that. And a lot of advanced parental controls, that's a real big thing in the marketplace now, so that's available as well. Next page is video on demand. We'll have a very robust selection of videos that you can watch from your home, usually priced at $4.99 or less. So if you'd like to watch a video instead of going to a movie theater, you'll be able to see those latest videos and even some archived movies from the past by going to the video on demand selection. And then next, the one thing that's we learned as we deployed this product some 8 years ago, that was the first time we did it, is that people need a lot of help learning how to use it, how the set-top boxes work, how the DVRs work. And so there's an on-screen menu on how to help. There's a way to go through how the Wi-Fi management works, remote control. All those things are on the channel guide, so you can simply go to them and it'll show you how to use every button and feature of the product, so you've got a really good idea of how things work. And then also call-in numbers for that too as well. The next one is, I already talked about video on demand. That's the storefront for it, and it'll offer all sorts of stuff, including the latest HBO and Showtime movies. So lots of opportunities there. And then some new applications that will be out, that are coming out, including the one that we just discussed, but lots of things there that are available. We're going to do a special feature of the product will be focused just at kids. So the shows that they like, they'll be able to go to them and watch them and select the ones that they like, and the ones that the parents don't want, they can obviously use parental controls to block those programs as well. So lots of features that way. And then the last page, most of you know, people are really getting into gaming these days. Really a big product for the college crowd, and so there's a very robust gaming package to this as well. So I run through that really quick. That is really just a real quick snapshot of the product that we plan on deploying. Infrastructure-wise, we'll be placing fiber optic cable, as I mentioned, to every most homes in the city, unless you're way out on the fringes, then those will still be deployed on a copper base, but very robust as far as its ability to deliver the product. So all of the city will have this available to them. We met with Howard and our engineering group today, helping us. We selected Corning. They're a very well-known fiber producing company as well as installations experts. So between our engineers and them, they'll be helping us deploy this. We'll start sometime in mid-August. We're going to be able to work through the winter because a lot of the product that we're putting up will be able to be worked on during the winter. And we plan on going live and offering the service in the summer of next year. So right around June, July timeframe, we'll be ready to go. And as I said earlier, the internet speeds that will come along with this will be second to none, and will match any large city around us, including Milwaukee and Madison, very easily. So that'll be a really good news story for Platteville, for both the university, students who live off campus, as well as the community as a whole, for the businesses and people who've been after me and others to quickly deploy higher speed. So that's kind of a brief update of where we're at, and really excited about it. Yes, sir.
How will this work then? Where will this fiber be fed? Where will it pick up the picture from? The satellite, or is it?
No, it is a satellite-based product, but the main controller for this is actually housed in La Crosse. That's where we deployed it first. In fact, La Crosse was the very first city in the whole company that got this product. We've had it there now for 8 years. So what we'll do is we're going to take the local channels from here. They'll be, pulled off the network, whether it be fiber or off air, they call it. It'll be inserted into what we call our media room in La Crosse and shipped down here and delivered. So basically, it'll come right from the central office in Platteville, our downtown central office, not the head end out here, but the downtown office. Reliability, not a problem. We have a redundant fiber route between here and La Crosse, so one side gets severed, it instantaneously restores itself. But the short answer really is from the central office downtown is where the service will come from. It'll pull the channels off of different satellites based everywhere, including some of the ones that are still located outside of town here. I know that's kind of confusing, but it's difficult to get the signals. The content providers really rule the roost here, ESPN and others. So you kind of get the signal wherever you can pull it from.
Now, and this will be run by fiber optics throughout the town. Now, is that going to be above ground, in ground?
Yeah, majority of it is going to be above ground, kind of right where we are today is where we plan on it. It'll be. There will be some underground that needs to be placed because we don't have fiber there today. In order to deliver a service, we have to remove some of the old stuff that's in the ground and put in new. That's what we showed Howard today, our mapping of what we need to do there. We'd really like to have a good share of that done before winter hits, because if we have a spring like this, we're not going to be able to get at it until April, and then we would never make the ability to start selling or offering the service in June or July. So that's.
So,
go ahead.
Well, for instance, mine's underground. The cable I have. Then you put it underground from the pole the closest to me, or.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They have basically splitters that they take the major fiber cable and split it down into smaller chunks, and we'll either plow that fiber in, the little garden thing into your home. It's not very big like you would usually think. Or we sometimes do boring, where we would start at the sidewalk and just bore underground till we get to the house. It pops up and we hook it up that way. And it varies depending on what the house looks like, and not where the application and how the terrain is and stuff like that.
Is there a way you can use the cable that's there, or that fiber won't transfer to the cable? Because that's copper.
The copper that's there in most cases is going to be abandoned.
Okay.
Yep. Copper has really seen its better day. It's served well for the last 100 years, but when you want to offer these type of internet speeds and services, it's just not a superior product for offering that.
Fiber optic ain't something you wanna take to the salvage yard then, or you don't have to worry about it going there.
Yeah, fiber optics, you don't have to worry about taking to the salvage yard. It doesn't have very much retention value, but the copper might. So,
Any other questions or comments? Thank you for a very nice
Thank you.
presentation. We look forward to this.
yeah, we do too. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
the
you.
city's support on this, and we're going to do a really good job for you.
All right,
Thanks.
great.
Thank you.
Next item is the 2013 audited financial statements. Johnson Block and Company. You can introduce yourself just for the record, please, Al.
My name is Alan Bry. I'm a partner with Johnson Block and Company. And I will try to summarize our audit and the major financial changes in the city for 2013 through the use of the handout that you had in your packet there. So with that, we'll go to page 2. We title that Audit Overview. We completed our audit of the City of Platteville for the year ended December 31st, 2013, and issued our independent auditor's report on those statements and related notes. Our report and the audited financial statements are presented in a bound document that you should have received, a 62-page document. We issued an unmodified opinion on those financial statements and notes, meaning they are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Again, the scope of our audit included all funds and activities of the city, including the Housing Authority, which is considered a component unit. Management has reviewed and accepted the financial statements and adjusting journal entries. Again, to emphasize that the financial statements and notes are your responsibility. They are yours. We do prepare the financial statements and notes. We then give a draft to the staff here to look over along with the adjustments that we made so that they're in a position to accept responsibility for those financial statements. A separate audit communications document addressed to the City Council was also submitted and should be read in conjunction with the audit financial statements. Those would not be bound in the packets that you received the report. They're stapled separately in the back. In conjunction with the audit, we also prepared the regulatory reports with the Wisconsin Department of Revenue and the Public Service Commission. Some of the financial highlights on page 3. The governmental funds of the city reported an increase in the overall fund balances of $1,328,672. Some of the major changes in individual funds. The general fund increased $605,000. The capital projects fund decreased $938,000. TIF number 6 had an increase of $587,000. And TIF number 4 had an increase of $1,158,904. As you're reviewing the audit report, if you go to the section of the fund statements that's labeled fund equity, you'll notice that the fund equity is divided into separate categories, those being the non-spendable, such as advances to other funds where that particular fund doesn't have the cash available to spend at that point because it's loaned out, or it could be for prepaid items where you've paid something in advance. So that's what falls into the non-spendable categories. Restricted, being restricted either by donors or granting agencies, statute. Assigned, which is assigned by the city for a specific purpose. And then everything else, which is the unassigned. The detail behind those different categories are are in the financial statement notes. So you can go there to see what makes up each of those categories. The general fund on an overall basis reported favorable variances as compared to your budget for the year. The net position of the water and sewer utility increased $673,308. Page 4. We looked at the trend in the general fund balance for the last 4 years. You'll see there that from 2010, it went from 4.6 million up in 2011, down in 2012, and back up to almost 4.6 million again in 2013. The 2013 ending general fund balance, 4,596,924. I just talked about the different categories of fund balance, non-spendable and so forth. What I want to concentrate on is the unassigned fund balance. So of that 4.6 million, $2,987,000 is unassigned, and that represents approximately 39% of your 2013 general fund expenditures. Now that is up from 15.4% in the prior year. Besides the $600,000 increase in the general fund itself, there was also about $1.1 million of advance that was repaid from the TIF districts to the general fund. So when that happens, that particular money falls from the non-spendable into the unassigned category. So that's the two reasons why you see that increase from 15% to 39%. City's fund balance policy is to have unassigned general fund balance at a minimum of 20% of the budgeted general fund expenditures. So your ending actual general fund unassigned balance was higher than your policy. So positive trend. Page 5, just a quick look at the governmental fund revenues. You'll see the largest source of revenue is tax revenue at 43%, and intergovernmental revenue 34%. Some of the significant changes in total governmental revenue between years saw a reduction in state aid for municipal services of $237,000. You had an airport grant of $115,000 in the prior year and none in 2013. As far as miscellaneous revenues, you received a single donation of $177,000 in 2013. And if we look at the public charges for services, we see that went up. Most of that was due to the garbage fees now being shown as, or being put on the tax roll as a public charge instead of through the tax levy. Just point out the most significant intergovernmental revenues are the general transportation aid, $678,418, which is paid quarterly to the city. Shared taxes, $2,472,223, most of which arrives in November. Those two sources represent 75% of your intergovernmental revenue. Page 6, mostly informational. Of your levy, 39% of each tax dollar goes to the school district, 27% to the city, 14% to the county. Page 7, property taxes. Over the last 4 years, property taxes have gone from 3.5 million to 3.6 million. Represents a rate of increase of 4.1% over 4 years. So approximately a 1% increase every year. And of course, a great effect of that was the levy limits that have been in place for a while now. Equalized value of the city property, page 8. You'll see in 2010 you had a equalized value of 564 million. In 2013, 554 million. That reflects a trend in also the economy, being that the fair market value of properties decrease, which is used by the state in their calculation of the equalized value. So your valuation over a 4-year period has decreased by approximately 2%. So that 2% could be a product of not only falling market value of properties, but it also could be a combination of actually adding equalized value so that the drop in fair market value actually might have been higher had you not added more equalized value through development. Now, I don't know what that combination is, but those two factors would have the greatest effect on equalized value. Page 9, the trend in shared revenue. You'll see that's had a downward trend, 2.7 million to 2.5 million. As I just mentioned before, a significant portion of your intergovernmental revenue is shared revenue and road aid. Again, you have not a whole lot of control over those particular items as they're set at the state level, but it could potentially have a big impact on your future budget should the state decide to cut funding in those two areas. Hence the need for a good policy for unassigned general fund balance. As we just mentioned, you've exceeded that policy that you've set for yourselves. So you're in good position should the state start taking away some of this revenue. Page 10, just an overview of the governmental fund expenditures. You'll see the biggest categories of expenditures are debt service, accounting for 36% of the expenditures, 19% for capital outlay, and 14% for public safety. Some significant changes between years in the industrial development category. You had $2 million of industrial development cost in 2013. That was part of an agreement with a developer. And the debt service increase was due to the refinancing of debt in 2013. The $2 million in new development costs were in the TIF district, and you did take out what's new for the city, a tax increment revenue bond. So that will be paid back through the increase in the value of that property and the additional taxes that it generates. On page 11, water and sewer utility. Just a glance there of the where the revenues come from for the utility. 45% is from sewer charges, 28% from your water charges, and 14% in public fire protection charges. You'll note that the water sales increased 159,545 or 15%. Water rates were increased on January 15th and were projected to average an increase of 19%. So the rates did what they were supposed to do. Water and sewer utility expenditures. Highest category, 29% for depreciation, 17% for administrative and general, 12% for treatment, 13% for interest. The only category that changed significantly was the administrative and general expenses, which increased 22% due to allocating Director of Administration expenses to the utility in 2013. Page 13, the summary of your long-term obligations. Your total debt subject to the debt limitation totaled $18,013,487. The city had approximately 34% of its debt capacity remaining at December 31st, 2013. There you'll note that tax increment revenue bond that I mentioned of $2 million. Other matters, during the course of our audit, we received full and complete cooperation from city personnel. And we'd like to thank you for letting us be of service to the city. We're available throughout the year to answer any questions or to provide any other assistance. So with that, I know it's a very quick summary of a 62-page document, but hopefully we've hit the high points of some of the financial changes in the city for the year. Anybody have any questions I might be able to answer at this point?
It's a really great summary. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
Al, given your review, do you have one or two things that you would recommend to the city council focus on in the future?
Well, I think it's important to maintain your general fund balance because of the, well, number one, because of the reliance you do have on shared revenue. And again, that you're at the whims of the state. So should that be taken away and you still want to provide the services that you presently are, you might have to rely on general fund balance for a while. You might have to come up with different ways to come up with charging for specific services. So you're at a good fund balance. I would recommend at least trying to maintain that fund balance. Water and sewer utility rates seem to be providing an adequate rate of return. So I think you're set there at least for another year. But in general, it's a good thing to look at utility rates every year, just to make sure they are providing an adequate rate of return. Too often we find municipalities that don't want to increase utility rates. They keep going for 15 years, still no increase, and all of a sudden there's a 40% increase, and guess who's all mad at the village or city officials? So good exercise to have each year. Might also take a look at, I think it's a good policy each year during budget time to take a look at some of the categories that you've assigned for specific purposes, just to see if they're relevant for one thing, or if they can flow back to the unassigned balance, possibly even be used towards other things in the budget. So I think that's a good exercise also during your budget process.
Al, one of the slides that you showed us, or one of the things you talked about, was how our property tax bill breaks down in terms of the percent for local schools, county, the state, etc. In future years, is it possible to have any data? I mean, we know that about 27% of the tax bill comes to the city, but we don't know if that's normal, because a lot of times we hear our taxes are high in Platteville. So, you know, there's a lot that contributes to our taxes. If in fact our taxes are high, there are a lot of things that contribute to it. I always tell people about 25 cents of what you're paying in your tax actually comes to the city. The other 75 cents goes somewhere else. We collect it for someone else, basically. So my question is there any comparative data that exists with other communities of our size that show if I pay a $4,000 tax bill in Platteville, 1,000 goes to the city, but if I paid a $4,000 tax bill in, Dodgeville, 1,200 goes to the city? I mean, are there?
When I previously met with two of the council members and the staff here, yesterday actually, I handed out some graphs from the Wisconsin Taxpayer Alliance. And what I didn't hand out was they also have in there a comparison of, I believe, property tax per capita amongst 20 cities. So that would be a starting point.
But that's total property tax.
That's
not-
just the city portion.
Oh, that's just the
Right.
city portion.
Correct. If you were interested in, the whole tax dollar, if you want to say that, we could probably develop that data. But I think that would be a good starting point for you. Incidentally, those graphs that I handed out did compare Platteville with, I believe, 19 other cities. And as far as expenditures in the general government, public safety, streets, I believe Platteville was either average or just below average per capita. So compared to other cities, you're in the lower half as far as expenditures per person. So
This is the report that you handed out yesterday to a couple of us, so I'm gonna ask the city manager to provide copies of these to Dwayne. Do you have some extras? Okay, so the rest of the council members will see this.
But see if that answers your question. Any other questions?
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Again, we appreciate you allowing us to be of service to you, and we're certainly available if you have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is consideration of the consent calendar. The following items may be approved in a single motion and vote due to the routine nature of previous discussion. Please indicate to the council president if you would prefer separate discussion and action. First is minutes of the June 10th regular council meeting. B is payment of bills. C is appointments to boards and commissions. I have no appointments this evening, but just for the public's information, we do have openings on the ET Zoning Board of Appeals, also on the other Board of Appeals. Historic Preservation Commission has 2 openings, and the Commission on Aging in July, the Museum Board, Redevelopment Authority, and the Tourism Committee. So if you are interested in serving on any city commission or committee or board, please go to our website, and you will see on the page where it says volunteer opportunities, and there is an application form that we would ask you to fill out so that we can contact you.
I'd like to make a comment on the Commission on Aging.
Sure.
They're
You want to do it now, or you want to do it?
Just a comment is all.
Okay.
Just for the public's information, 50 is the minimum age. And 50 or older, you can be, that's eligible for the commission.
On the commission, okay.
Just that, nothing else.
Okay, good to know.
I move,
I didn't finish the other ones, so I will finish the rest of them, sorry. D is licenses, 1 and/or 2-year operators licenses, and E is ordinance 1408, which amends section 220514, D288, the overlay district creation petition application fee. There was a Scrivener's error, they said, in the other thing that we passed, and so that's just being corrected. Is there a motion?
motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Bonin,
Yes.
motion carries.
Are there any citizens' comments, observations, or petitions this evening? I didn't get any, anyone requesting to speak, so, all right, we'll go on to the reports in your packet. Airport Commission, Dawes.
Nothing to add.
Historic Preservation Commission, Killian.
No additions to the minutes?
Library Board, I have no additions. Water and Sewer Commission, Stockhausen, Killian, or Bonin.
No
I have
addition on my
nothing.
part.
Okay. Other reports in your packet, including the Building Inspector Report and the Department of Progress Reports. Any questions or comments on any of that information?
What says under building inspection, no citations? I believe my question is there any program going on as far as building inspection as compared to past years?
I will do my best at trying to answer your question. Unfortunately, the building inspection supervisor, Joe Carroll from Community Planning and Development, is unable to attend this evening. I can tell you that building inspections is continuing as previously, as it always has. On a regular basis, I will tell you that a list of properties, I asked the building inspector to review a list of properties that just driving by I've noticed I have questions on. So I know that there is a list that they're following up on. The last list I think was quite a while ago, and so we're probably still in the point where we're submitting letters and waiting to give property owners an opportunity to fix the whatever is not meeting minimum standards. And I know the building inspector is still occasionally finding situations, well, at least they were this spring, where we had over occupancy still existing. Although not as my understanding is he does not have the time to as aggressively enforce that as previously due to additional inspections he has to do, but that is still on the list. So to answer your question, I believe that inspections are still occurring as they previously have. I'm not sure why no citations have been issued during this 2-week period.
Any other questions?
My question is, when a rental property is sold, does somebody go in and do a review on occupancy?
No.
Is that gonna happen in the future?
Not at this time. We do the inspections on a 3-year basis. A rental license carries over from one person to the next.
They do?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't know that.
The only inspection done on a sale of a rental would be
Property inspection.
energy audit. It's,
Well, most homeowners would have the house inspected before closing on the property as well, I would think. Do some kind of a home inspection as to the quality of the home, but not necessarily due to the occupancy.
I take that back. It's only if it's not had one, because that's on file in Lancaster.
All right. First action item, only action item. IT budget amendment.
Yeah, the agenda this evening is rather limited. One action item and one information and discussion item. At our previous meeting, we talked a little bit about the IT budget and the fact that, as staff, we recognize there are greater IT needs than what is available via the budget. And what we have is an opportunity to transfer money around internally to try to help address some of the IT needs of the city. Our communications specialist position had previously been budgeted to cover a full-time salary, and the position is held by an employee who only works 3/4 time. Therefore, there is a quarter-time position there that we could reappropriate the money to another budget area. At this time, staff is recommending that we reappropriate it to the IT budget to cover specific IT expenses. When we approved the IT contract, we approved it knowing that at that time we didn't have quite enough money to cover the contract. We still expect to see cost savings to the city of Platteville as a result, but there is an initial infrastructure cost. You'll see from my my progress reports that we've recently shifted to a program called Office 365, which allows our city employees to have the newest version of Microsoft Office available at any computer that they log on to, so over the internet, basically wherever they are. Part of that service that we're hoping to step into in the future would allow them to access their drive. So if they're out of town and on vacation, I can ask them to send me a document and they would still have the capability to log on and do that. I certainly don't plan to do that to our employees, but it's nice knowing that the option is there in case an emergency or something happens. The other option that's there is if an employee is laid up or unable to come in because of an ill family member, they can still log on to their computer at home. One of the things we're hoping to use the money for, and there is a memo included in your packet from our IT company explaining their 3 top desires for the funding. The middle one is perhaps the most important in my book. It's the category 2 to cover the remaining services on the contract. That would be our contract shortfall. Category 3 is the domain server. That is another large priority. Our domain server for the city of Platteville is crashing. On the memo, it says weekly. I can tell you that's been upgraded to almost daily at this point. When it crashes at that level, it's a pretty good sign that it's going to go. I've already authorized them to get a new one. I realize it's not in the budget, but we can't do without it. And when it's crashing daily, we're going to be in a lot of trouble if it goes down. So I've authorized an emergency purchase to make sure we get that taken care of. Now I have to find the money for it. The top priority, category 1, the city of Platteville is still operating with several XP computers. Windows XP is a software that is from 2003, I believe, that Microsoft is no longer maintaining. Most places recognize that computers need to be recycled in and out every 3 or 4 years. And in Platteville, we have many computers that are simply way beyond their lifespan. And so a significant cost to the city of Platteville is simply replacing some of the desktops that haven't been replaced in the past. And so we're hoping that some of this funding could be used for that purchase. On the memo, our IT company is recommending category 1, 2, and 3 costs to help. We need budget money to help pay for these costs. I know at our last meeting there was Eileen at some point raised a question about how much Office 365 is costing the city of Platteville. And I apologize, at this point I did not get that together into the memo. We were kind of, quite frankly, rushed with the packet. So I will still get that information out to you. I just don't have it this evening. I know the cost is about $17 or $18 per account per month, which, in a year is probably around $15,000. But with that comes the Office license. So if you get Office 2013, if you assume that costs maybe $400 a month, or excuse me, $400 to buy the newest Office version, that's already $26,000. So we will continue to have the latest Office product, but when you consider the lifespan of an Office product, it's going to be at a slight premium. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I do. And I apologize, I wasn't here at the last meeting. The category where it says upgrade current XP machines to Windows 7. Are these replaced machines, or are you taking XP off a machine and putting on Windows 7?
No, we are replacing the machine.
All right, so it shouldn't say upgrade, it should say replace current XP
I believe that's
machines.
correct, yes.
All right.
What has happened is that the XP operating system.
I understand that, but I want to make sure that I understand that these are replacement computers.
They are.
So that if I come in, I'm going to see a replacement, not a reformatted computer.
Correct.
Okay. I'd like that word actually changed, so that we understand that these are computer replacements.
Okay.
Second, category 2, cover the remaining services from CompuNet's contract. I believe that I remember from this discussion early on that there were to be savings realized through this contract, and that the people who presented the contract had no doubt that there would be savings at the amount that there would not be a need to worry about this additional budget for their contract.
And I also recall them saying that. Now, having said that, I can tell you, for example, that with Office 365, there is a savings, but how do you measure what that savings is on a per employee basis so you can transfer money around? It's more of a time savings so that you can operate and spend your time on other things. But I do recall them saying that.
I distinctly recall them saying that they were not worried about the fact that we were allocating $50,000 instead of $57,500 because they were going to have this savings. So to me, it's a bit problematic to see that their second most important request, if these are presented in order of importance, is that they now have decided that we aren't having these budget savings. And frankly, I have no problem with category 3, the server redundancy, domain server redundancy. That probably, in my opinion, might have been number 1.
Might have been what?
Number 1.
And I did not have a discussion with the IT contract providers, CompuNet. So I can't say that they are organized in an area of priority.
But I have to say that their category 2 expense is a disappointing one to me and one that's problematic. I don't know if they were at the last meeting and explained this or not, how this occurred, and I do realize I'm coming in late and there are 6 other people who may have other opinions.
You know, Barb, I think the short answer for me would be that, yes, they had an explanation of the IT activity to date, and they had certainly experienced some difficulties that they were not expecting, and it was taking their time to complete what they expected to be readily available. For example, information on certain programs. It seems that finding the codes and other ways to access some of that information was almost impossible and was taking a great deal of time. I do remember them talking about that. I'm not really sure that they mentioned other things.
Well, I can tell you when we had discussions, it was their intent to jump right in and have Office 365 implemented. It has taken in 3 or 4 months to have that done as a result of not knowing what programs are on different computers throughout the city. That information wasn't necessarily logged, so we don't know what programs are on each computer. We didn't know what the licensing number was for each of the programs on each of the computers. It took a little while for them to figure that stuff out, and then there have been several upgrades that have occurred. Our SCADA system was upgraded at the wastewater treatment plant. The TIM system was implemented at the police station. Both of the systems required attention from CompuNet that they had not planned on initially or budgeted for.
Is any of this additional expense due to our new financial account software?
The finance department is getting all new computers because they are some of the people operating on XPs. I can tell you that the XPs listed on this memo do not include the finance department. The finance department is getting the new computers because we cannot install the new software on the computers that they had previously. So that decision was made to replace those computers with money in the IT budget prior, at the time when you approved the software contract. So we knew when the council approved the software contract that we needed to replace all those computers. And so that was done out of the IT budget. This is in addition to that, we still have another 7 XP computers that need to be replaced.
Related, I don't remember if CompuNet mentioned this at their presentation, but are we beginning to cycle into a regular replacement program for computers? Because we should be replacing something like 15% a year or something.
Ideally, I'd love to be there. We're still struggling with 2003 computers, so I think we'll get there. But at this point, it's more of crisis management than it is planning.
Okay.
And at some point, certainly, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be to the point where we need to do long-term planning. I will tell you that CompuNet is working to organize a staff committee to help with IT governance, to help set guidelines as to what computers are used for, who tracks what on various computers, what a replacement schedule is, and what the priorities are. So they are planning to do that. They haven't had the committee meet yet, but I know they're working to assign staff members to that committee.
Excellent. I'd like to see that rather than, bulk purchases every 10 years. It doesn't make sense. So thank you.
We're striving to get there. That's
So is there
perhaps-
somebody assigned right now to do all these things?
Well, right-
Primarily upgrade computers on a regular basis? I'm the one that's pushing for this, so we are
CompuNet-
way behind.
CompuNet, through the Office 365 transition, I can tell you that they had at least 2 or 3 employees in Platteville working at City Hall in the various buildings trying to get that done. There is a young man named Logan who works for CompuNet who is sporadically located in the old police department. We've given him office space there to accommodate his needs. While he's replacing computers, he needs a space to set up the old computer and the new one and transfer data. And so he is organizing and using office space to, I believe he's called it he's imaging these computers to be used in the city. So there is a gentleman from CompuNet that is working at City Hall. I'm not sure that he's here all the time, but I see him on a regular basis. I believe he's a student at UW Platteville who attends classes during the day as well.
Any other questions? All right, we have a request to increase funding.
Is that written by Dwayne on the back?
The information on the back came from, category 1, 2, and 3 came from the CompuNet, is that correct?
Yep, Amber Aurora drafted the memo from CompuNet.
That was my question when I first read this. I didn't know who wrote it.
Yeah,
Because there was no-
it should say on it
Yeah.
as I will tell you, CompuNet was very busy at the same time that we were very busy. I called to remind them that we needed this memo because we had not received it. And 6 hours later, I had to call them again because they had gotten distracted with another customer who was having an emergency situation. So I know that they were under a little bit of pressure to get this memo drafted and submitted in time to get into the council packet. I recognize that in a business cycle, there are periods where you're going to be really busy, and I know the memo isn't as complete as you would have liked it.
Yeah, because it raised an issue or a question as to who wrote it.
Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
I move.
Second.
Move to approve the increase?
Yes.
Okay, and this will take a 2/3 vote because it is a budget amendment. We'll vote.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss, Stockhausen,
Yes.
Bonin,
Yes.
motion carries.
Last item before we go into closed session, information and discussion, ordinance amending section 312, City Plan Commission Council Member Election.
Jan, would you like to handle that one?
Sure. In our current code, when it talks about the city plan commission, we have a council representative. They're supposed to be elected by the common council. We always elect them at the organizational meeting. Well, according to our code, it's at the second meeting, which is kind of vague, because our organizational meeting could be the second meeting or the regular second meeting of the council. So this just clarifies it to say that it's going to be voted on at the organizational meeting, the same time that the council president is.
And then what about the Board of Appeals?
If you're the
The
Plan
Board of
Commission,
Appeals, the person going on the Plan Commission usually goes on the Board of Appeals, so what's happening with that?
I believe the code is written where that same appointment is made at exactly the same time. It's automatically whoever's assigned to the Plan Commission serves on the Board of Appeals.
right.
So if we
Correct.
elect to the Plan Commission, that person automatically is Board of Appeals.
Correct.
Yep.
Is there a term limit for that?
It's annual. It says
One
on
year.
here.
Number of terms they can hold?
not with the council, there are for individual members of those boards.
Well, as far as being a plan commission member from the council.
It's a
there
1
limit?
year.
It's
It's a 1
it's
year.
on
You
here.
get elected every year.
But Ken's question is there a limit to the number of times you can be elected for
No.
a 1-year term? Is that your question?
Question.
That's what I thought your question.
No, there's not.
At the current time, there is not.
You're a liaison from the council.
I think, Ken, our understanding in the past has been that nobody will do it more than 2 years in a row. I believe you have indicated that during your tenure. That was kind of the understanding among the council.
So it's not
There is
written?
nothing in our
There is
code
nothing in
to
writing.
indicate that.
Right, it's not mandatory, I can have it.
Interesting.
So technically, Mike, you get fired next spring.
This is my
Well,
second year,
technically,
yes.
Ken didn't remember.
Oh, and it's also an
Policy.
elected. So it's whoever elects who, so.
Well, if the discussion's done, I make them, no, this
Oh, we
is
can't.
discussion, never
Information
mind.
discussion, so we'll be talking about it next time. If the council members feel that someone should not serve more than 2 consecutive terms, then that, probably should be brought up at the next meeting.
And nominate someone else.
Yeah,
That could be done every year at the organizational meeting,
right.
whatever the council believes.
I make a motion, we adjourn, go,
You can't. We make a motion, we're going into closed session.
oh, that's right. I can't do anything right tonight, can I?
Good
Do you-
try,
Would you
though.
like to make the closed section motion? Just
Sure. You
go
want me
ahead.
to
For
read it then?
Wisconsin statute, you get to read it.
Per Wisconsin statute 19.85, 1E, deliberating or negotiating purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public businesses whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed sessions, possible land acquisition.
Is there a second?
Yes.
I have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Bonin.
Yes?
Motion carries.
They have to think we had a-
God, I still got time to go hook up my camper now.
I don't want to hear it.
Shut down.